The early days with Bikram and Barkan, part 2. In part 1, I talked about what it was like to do class in the early 80s.
Patience above all else.
Grab the floor with your fingertips and right leg up.
You haven't met the man they call the yogi to the stars.
With all these different celebrities, not just movie stars, but sports stars. So in this episode, I'm going to share some stories of Bikram's bright side.
Bright side.
And Bikram's dark side.
Dark side of the Force.
And now you can be the judge. So once again, Bikram's superpower was his passion for yoga, in which he still has to this day a very deep passion for yoga. I mean, think about it. He taught 4 classes a day for years and years and years.
Really? Now that's too much.
Before he was making tons of money. Many people I've heard say, well, Bikram's just doing it for the money. No. Of course, he loved the money, and the money came much later when he started doing his teacher training programs. He really wasn't into serious money until the year 2000. So from 1976 to the year 2000, teaching almost 4 classes a day, you have to have a passion for your craft and had boyish charm. And that's what drew the people into his class, not just the celebrities in Hollywood and the sports world, but also people from all over were drawn to Bikram's personality and once again, his bright side, which I believe was the magic of his success. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which I did mention in part 1, and Ken Norton, the boxer, and Eric Dickerson, the football player, John McEnroe, John Lloyd, Brian Teacher, very successful tennis players on the circuit would come to class. John Lloyd would bring his intramural tennis team to come into class just to do the locust pose, because getting those arms underneath the body in the locust pose was wonderful for tennis elbow, all the tendinitis they would get from tennis playing. For all the tennis player historians, if you remember, John Lloyd married Chris Everett. So for a while, she was Chris Everett Lloyd. In fact, when they divorced, he remarried a woman named Debbie, who was a Bikram teacher. Before we continue on, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. You want to learn all about hot yoga, tutorials, and flows and factoids. Hit the like button and the subscribe button right now. Leave a comment. I'm happy to get back to you. So let's talk about bright side story first. Bikram was wonderful at encouraging you to do the best yoga you can do. If you were to show up in his classroom and put forth your best effort, and he would notice that. He would see if you're putting forth your best effort, if you're just giving up. If you're putting forth your best effort, he's your best friend. And he's going to encourage you and make you feel like $1 million. I'd come back from being in Florida and do his class, and he would pick me out in class, and I'd be doing, let's say, the full expression of standing here today. He goes, look at that. That's 20 years of serious practice and commitment and dedication. That's what you're going to look like in the future. And here I am in the pose feeling like $1 million. So his encouragement was a very valuable tool. But also what Bikram did was to correct. I actually did a video on this a while back on the encouragements and corrections. If you're a yoga teacher, check that video out after you watch this one. But correction was another superpower of Bikram's. When Bikram married his wife Rajashree, it was 1984, I believe, they had the reception it's a 4-day-long reception. Anybody knows about Indian weddings? It lasts for 4 days in India. When they came back to the Beverly Hills, they had the party. The party they had at Johnny Weissmuller's house, who is the original Tarzan. And all of us non-celebrity people had to stand outside while everyone was inside the house. All his celebrity students were inside the house, and they were interviewing them for some television show. So here's Shirley MacLaine talking about the way Bikram corrects people. Watch this clip.
Very, very discerning. And his eye is extremely adept at detail, particularly physical, but also mental.
So I think one of the advantages that I had in doing my teacher training program, which was an apprenticeship program. So here I am doing 3 classes of yoga a day with Bikram, and I'm watching him correct. I'm watching him encourage, and I'm taking mental notes on his correction alignment and his alignment concepts and how he corrects. When he started his condensed training in 1994, it was only 9 weeks. So you're lucky to get Bikram maybe 1 class a day for 9 weeks, where here I had Bikram 3 classes a day for 2 years. I believe it was a big advantage. As promised, here's a dark side story.
Oh, I can't wait.
In the 9 o'clock class, I believe it was 9 o'clock class, doesn't matter. A woman had been over to the side, and Bikram had reprimanded her for something, I forget what it was. The class is over, the other class is about to start, and she comes over to Bikram. Bikram's sitting in his futon chair. Back then we had these little futon chairs, that's how we taught class. And she's standing over him, pointing her finger. And she's reprimanding Bikram. How dare you embarrass me in front of all these people? If you have something to say to me, you tell me that in private. Do not reprimand me in front of all the classroom people again. And I went to myself, uh-oh, that's a mistake. Let's go back to Vishnu Ghosh for a second. Vishnu Ghosh was the dictator of the room. In fact, he would carry a stick, what they called in yoga the staff. My staff has just magically appeared through post-editing. So here's a story of Bishnu Ghosh. He would always carry his staff, which is a very symbolic item for the yogi. It represents the center channel, the sushumna, where all the evolution takes place. So Bishnu Ghosh would carry a staff. So one time he was telling a student to do this pose, and he turned to Bishnu Ghosh. He says, "I can't do it. My leg hurts me." So Bikram says, "Uh-oh," and he takes the staff out and smacks him on the other leg. He goes, "Okay, now you're even. Do the pose. Do not question the guru in the yoga class." Back to the lady. After she reprimands him, sticks his finger in Bikram's face, he stands up and he turns into a raging maniac. And I don't know if he physically touched her. Well, we're upstairs. This is on Rexford Road. And he pretty much escorted her out, screaming at her the whole time, "Don't ever come back to my school. How dare you reprimand me in front of my classroom?" And down the stairs she went. And then he comes back into the class to teach the next class. And he comes back and he goes with a big smile, "Hi, everybody. I'm happy. I don't know if you think I'm happy, but I'm happy now." Anyway, one dark side to Bikram. Now a bright side story of Bikram. He was invested in your yoga practice. You were coming on a regular basis, especially if you're coming every day. He actually would claim your practice for himself. When he first came to my studio, we'll talk about this in part 3, when he first came to my studio with Tony Sanchez, who is one of the greatest yogic practitioners in the Bikram world that I ever saw, and people were marveling at his pose and all his positions. He was saying, "Don't applaud Tony, applaud me, because I'm his teacher." Meaning, when I'm doing yoga, don't applaud me, applaud Bishnu Ghosh, applaud the teacher. So he took a vested interest in your practice, and he made, like I said, made you feel like $1 million. He would build you up, which would encourage you to continue making an investment in your future health. Now, if you were coming on an everyday basis, and let's say all of a sudden you went on a holiday, you went on a vacation, and you came back and you didn't tell Bikram you were going on vacation, he would get upset because, once again, your practice is his practice, and he would yell at you for not telling him. So here's dark side story number 2.
Dark side.
Woman's doing class. She's about to do class, and she's sitting right in front of him. The class hasn't started yet. He's sitting in his little futon chair, and he says, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, well, I'm here to do class." And he says, "Why are you standing in front of me? You were away for 3 weeks, and you did not get on the telephone and call me to tell me you're away, and now you have the gall to stand right in front of me? I don't want you in front of me. Take your fat," and I'm not going to say the word that you use, but we'll just say ass for now. "Take your fat ass and get it over to the corner right now." So she grabbed her towel and she went over to the corner into her little room. "Get that fat ass out of my face. I don't want to see that in my face." It was just horrible. I felt so bad for this woman, but she didn't leave. She picked up her towel, went in the corner. Dark side Bikram story number 2. Okay, back to the bright side. So one of the things he said that his teacher would say all the time: you go to the bathroom every day, you eat every day, you sleep every day, do yoga every day. Because the yoga class you're taking today is going to benefit you 5 years into the future. And once you've been doing yoga for 5 years, you're going to have the immediate effects of today's class and the residual effect of the class you did 5 years ago. And when that happens in a combination, and he would name the diseases, he would just rattle them off: slip disc, arthritis, bursitis, tendonitis, and on and on and on and on. He was almost creating a hypnotic trance to get you to do yoga every day, not so you could come in and pay him his $10 to do the class, but for your future health. He was truly invested in you being the healthiest that you can be through his magical sequence of 26 postures and 2 exercises. Dark side number 3 isn't really a story, but he was never fond of the LBGT community. So one of the points I want to make is, so how was it tolerated back then? It was a different time. He probably would not get away with it today. I'm sure people would have called him out on it. But back then, it was almost like, okay, Bikram is sort of eccentric, and this is his personality, and we're going to sort of tolerate it. Maybe we shouldn't have. I'm not saying we should have. We're going to tolerate it because the benefits of his yoga outweigh the outrageousness of the bad side or the dark side that Bikram would go to. That's just sort of a theory that I had. And I think that's what happened in the Bikram world after I left later on in his teacher training programs. And at one point, it was going to break. It was going to snap. And at one point, the Bikram Empire, it was just too much, and it snapped and it broke, and unfortunately. But back to the yoga, which I believe goes beyond the personality of Bikram himself. So something you may not want to do is associate Bikram yoga and the 26 and 2 and all the benefits that sequence brought to the man himself, because it went way beyond Bikram. Even beyond Bikram's bright side attributes, the sequence went beyond Bikram. Here's another story. It's not necessarily a dark side story, but I just remembered it. A woman had come to class once. I was sitting in the lobby, Had to be 1982 or 83. And she was a little bit older, and she was talking to Bikram, and she comes in and she says, this person told me to do yoga, and I don't know if I should do yoga. And she starts rattling on and on and on about all the different illnesses that she had and all the different modifications she thinks she needs to get. And about halfway through, Bikram just stops her. And I was like, uh-oh, what's he going to say? And he says, did you come here to hear yourself talk, or did you come here to listen to what I have to say? And then at that point, he pretty much lost her. She was never going to come to his class. But she indignantly said, well, I want to hear what you have to say. You take my class. And off he went. When it came to that, a man of a few words. Even though Bikram's favorite saying was, a yogi doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, and he doesn't talk. And Bikram doesn't sleep, and I can atone for that, knowing Bikram all this time. He doesn't eat, he eats very little, but he makes up for it in talking. Let's listen to this clip.
And he never stops talking.
So that's our episode for today. In the next episode, part 3, we're going to talk about when Bikram came to South Florida, and I would come to Beverly Hills, and we'd go back and forth and continue the story of the early days with Bikram Barkan. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Any comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you. You want to learn all about hot yoga, hit this like button and the subscribe button right now, and I'll see you the next video. Bye, everyone.